So if I have any basic encirclement of his foot, I don't care so much about what I have. I care more about what he can do. Can you move your toes and foot around? Okay, well I'm going to need to configure my body in a way, try again, where you can't. And now that you can't, now we're getting pressure. And if I translate this ankle lock grip to an outside ashy where I'm on my elbow, and if I flare through, I'm going to get immediate taps in this position. And I can do the same thing with this type of grip. If I have a guillotine high grip, can you move your foot? Okay. And now we can't move. Like I'm trying to shut down all the space around these positions. So I don't care if you have a basic grip, a shotgun grip, a concave grip, I don't care. As long as it fits that criteria. Okay. And then there's cause and effect. If they have super long legs, right? It's going to be very difficult for me to get to the end lever and get control of his hip at the same time. We'll be so short here. If I got tall legs and I can completely elongate across their body, keep the hip, keep the knee line, keep the footlock's going to be easy. But if I've got long legs, I might also have long arms. So when I try and do this, there's going to be heaps of space. This would be great for me because I'm up on my elbow and I can get lots of pressure. But if you've got longer arms, you might need to come down to your shoulder so it punches your arm even further through. So you can take that space again and get immediate taps. He wants to tap on that pressure. Super short, we've heard about butterfly ashi. Yeah, so what butterfly ashi is instead of being up on the hip line, I'm dropping my hook to the butterfly so that I remove his femur from the lock. Okay, so now I'm on a short lever break. And I might not try and aoki him, okay, but if I go from, maybe a flat lock, he'll tap, but if I change it to the inner line just on the inside of the ankle here, they're going to tap big time. Okay, so here's straight pressure. Yeah, okay. Small inside rotation. This part of the ankle starts breaking. And if you've heard of Whyalla lock is essentially the exact opposite. It's a reverse aoki. So he would be a straight lock. As that ankle comes out, now I'm breaking to the outside of the ankle. If I reinforce that, this is the lock, okay? So this is what I was talking about with braking mechanics. If you know exactly what the braking mechanic is, then by the time you actually get an encirclement of the leg, it's automatic. How many of you know how an inside heel hook works? Yeah. So inside heel hook, rotation, cool, right? I don't want to allow him to rotate at his hip. So if I put his foot on the floor, this is not a heel hook. A heel hook is when there's rebend created in the leg, plug, and the toes are coming back towards the body as the leg is being pushed back towards the body to create this skewering effect. So if you have a look at like the 50-50 position, where my shins are firmly smashed down on that hip, he's not coming up on that hip. If I have a basic grip, what would everyone do? Wow! Try and come this way, most people. I'm alleviating pressure from the hip, he turns and runs. Okay, but if all I was doing was side crunching, coming up onto my shoulder, plugging the hip, look at the position of his leg only. What's happened to his leg? I've created the rebend, I've plugged the heel, my lats are back on his toes, my hips are off the floor, so they're driving into the MCL, and then small amount of pressure creates the break. This is an inside heel hook. So 50-50 correlates to inside heel hook. Ashi-garami correlates to straight foot lock. Outside, ashi-garami correlates to outside heel hook. Strong rebends in the leg. Diagonal, ashi-garami. Knees up, framing, creating the Z. Okay? Even better than that, reinforced, inside triangle, nowhere to go. Okay? These are the ways to learn fundamentally. In my opinion, like, learn the name of the position, the corresponding submission, and the true braking mechanics of that submission that you're going for. Because then if we set up into a 50-50 position, it becomes a knowledge-based position. I know what I'm trying to do, and they don't. All right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I feel like because of like the way people talk about the dangers of heel hooks, I've always tried to, I guess, focus just positionally, get good at controlling the position, blah blah blah, and then then we can work on the stuff. But I feel like it's one of those things that always found it difficult to get people to really understand. I guess like they're not understanding the why they're going to that position as well. If they don't know how to finish there.
Yeah, braking mechanics is very important from both perspectives. Like you will respect that configuration a lot more if you know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right. So if it was the first time Josh had been armbarred and he had no idea what this was, he would tap to the pain of the submission, maybe, unless it was as tough as this guy. And he's like, no, I'm not tapping to this armbar today. That's how, you know what one of the most dangerous submissions is? A bottom-up Kimura against a strong male who doesn't want to tap to a Kimura from bottom. That's when all of those spiral breaks happen in the humerus. Really, really bad. Okay? They know what it is, but they're not going to tap.
Jeez, I want to
I don't look, there's so many more examples I can use. That IBJJF better ban the Kimura pretty soon. I tell you, it's very dangerous. But with heel hooks, it's like, yes, it's dangerous. Armbars and rear naked chokes, Kimuras, they're all dangerous. But they're much more dangerous when there is a disparity of knowledge. If one person knows everything and the other person knows nothing, one way or the other, something bad's going to happen. Right? And if I know nothing about the braking mechanics of the heel hook, I'm going to put armbar leverage through a heel hook and I'm going to do damage. I'll bridge the gap of knowledge with power and force. And that's like the opposite of all what we're trying to do in terms of efficiency. I use heel hooks as an example of what we're actually trying to aim for overall in jiu-jitsu. This is an efficient finish, right? That I use the least amount of force to elicit a tap with. And if we understand that, then we're not afraid of it anymore. And we'll have better interactions. We'll have more educated interactions. And as I said before, with no-gi, leg locks are a fundamental technique, 100%. Because if you wait until brown belt, that's when you're allowed to do leg locks in IBJJF is brown belt. If you go through your entire formative learning, 6 to 8 years to get your brown belt, getting rewarded with belts for playing a certain style of game that is devoid of leg locks, you've been rewarded for a non-reality. And now if you actually compete in a rule set where those things are allowable, which is most rule sets these days, you're either going to have to play catch-up or you're going to have to modify your natural tendencies so heavily that you're going to feel very far behind. Whereas if you incorporate leg lock meta into your general grappling repertoire, that means the way that you pass is going to be different. The way that you play guard is going to be different. And it's going to be more well-informed and you'll create better habits earlier than if you wait a long time. Or you have some fear against leg lock somehow. With that being said though, I think the ankle lock is the ankle in general is the most disrespected joint I've ever seen in jiu-jitsu. People will go, on ankle locks and be like, yeah, that's fine. Well, if someone did that on an armbar, I would be in shock. It's a nightmare if someone's pulling on your arm as hard. Why does that happen? Because the straight ankle lock is a very innocuous position, right? Some people, they can put a straight foot lock on you and be like, yeah, cool, you can have that all day. Other people, it is literally an automatic submission. And if you stick around in that against the bear trap, it's not going to be good for you, right? But still, you don't need the facial expressions ever. Not necessary. But it's just to make a little bit more sense with leg locks.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, 100%.
Any other questions?
I'll go.
I've just got one. Sorry to go back on legs, but I'm kind of just starting to learn legs. And what you explained before about putting pressure on that leg, that kind of was me. So I find myself getting caught trying to play the leg game, but then getting punished for it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what was the mistake made with that explanation?
Yeah, so this is a really easy way to think of it. In order to have a strong leg entanglement, I need control of the hip, control of the knee line, and control of the foot. In fact, in order for him to escape, he needs to escape in the opposite order. He needs to escape his hip first, then knee, then foot. If he's sitting there trying to hand fight me, it's like, okay, I'm going to get this foot. So if ever I'm in a spot where this is all I have, and I feel like it's getting deconstructed, my major concern will be continuing to have a form of control at the hip, maintain the knee line. So he's breaking that down. I might stomp on the hip just to bring this hip control back to me, okay, so that I can be neutral here. And if he pushes me off to the outside, okay, outside, actually outside here. Right? It's knowing the right thing to do and when.
The reason why it gets away from you is you might default to this outside ashy position because it's easier to attain, and maybe they drag you off to this spot and lose control of their hip line. If I lose control of his hip and I fixate on the foot, he comes head to head, yeah, I'm in trouble now. Okay? So if I can't control the hip, I can't control the leg. There's little games you can play like right here where our only goal is to control the knee line. That's knee line capturing. So as soon as someone gets full control of the knee line, we reset. So if we were to play this, trying to keep me off the knee line. So just keep going like this, keep going. You find out what the right grips and the right handles are. So I went for an end lever grip, a ligament grip, a denying hip position, and then capture to the hip. You can learn this quite easily. So it's a nice way to configure your learning. Keep resetting.
Trying to control the hip first.
Hip first. If you notice, like, I'm sorry to go more deep into this, but like 50-50 does the same thing. Hip, knee, foot. Control of the hip line. Saddle is the same. Hip, knee, foot. I'll know if I'm losing the saddle because his hip is free. That's why tall people play saddle. Because they can get back here easy without having to relinquish this. And that's why 50-50 is good for small people. Because I can stay on the hip, get on the inside. So it's always control of the hip is quite painful. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So if it's getting away from you, just assess hip line. Hip line, knee line, can I get it back? If I reap it, if I default to 50, if I'm going to ashy, make sure I know why, and I'm getting to that hip. Anything else?
I've got a few specific positioning questions. So, one, I've been doing like a lot of Delahito, like so when people are standing, so I just like, more so I just want to check that I'm not retarded. So I've been doing like, I'll try and drag it in, and then if I need to, sometimes this is like crisscross. Okay, it is on.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So been doing that to enter like waiter, crab ride, take it back and stuff like that. I guess my question then is like, what are the main, I guess, dangers I'm looking for in terms of like, what are they going to be countering with? And
R-guard and HQ are connected like chest openings.
Yeah.
So if you go to R-guard as a prerequisite, you have pinned yourself and you put yourself in HQ.
yeah.
So in order to play in order to play good outside guards in no gi, you also need to have good inside.
Yeah.
So if I'm stepping in and you're going inside first with all the weapons to me, and I start trying to get away from you, now go to your outside spin.
Yes.
Now look at that kid. Don't go back to your back. Here's the deal, right?
Okay.
So hop up. So it's very hard for me to play layer 2, spinning layers, like that.
Yeah.
Okay? So if I'm going inside spin, I'm playing from shoulder to shoulder. Alright? And if I do that, even if you put that knee on the ground over there, I'm trying to get away from you. Like, you're not letting me invert on you. Okay, I can still invert.
Yeah.
Because I'm just lifting this leg by itself. So if in that way, if you start blocking by like blocking, trying to get away from me, if I go back to my back,
Now.
so really what you're going to do, and can you Berimbolo?
Yeah.
So if you're trying to get away from me, I'm going this way. I'm going to go back this way immediately to my outside spins.
Yeah. Sorry.
Alright? So trying to bypass the supine position in no gi.
Yeah.
In no gi.
Can you just do that again?
Yep. So
Yeah. Well,
I'm going
I
inside
feel like
spin.
a lot of people are going like they're standing against.
So I'm gonna swap my grips. Knee ligament, Achilles ligament. I'm short, so I go short hook, but I'm gonna turn your knee to flat.
Yeah.
If you put your hand on the floor to stop yourself from falling, that is a green light for me to continue the bolo.
Yeah. Sure.
So if I go like this and you put your hand on the floor, boom, this is the side pick check
100%.
I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And this wedge here is very important. When I put my wedge on the floor and I stomp,
That's where you're getting bowled.
Yeah.
You can actually, when I teach bowler, I teach wedge.
Yeah.
Just that position.
That's pretty much how it is, just a wedge.
Yeah. Just wedge, and then you can enter into wedge from literally everywhere.
Yeah. There's like as far as danger of like counter attacks, like leg locks and stuff like that. Is there much? Again, because like I
Yeah.
said, there's obviously
They can.
multiple